Welcome, everybody, to Dead Talk Live. Today, we are joined by paranormal investigating team Nick and Tessa Groff from Groff Adventures and Deathwalker. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time out and being on our show. How are you guys both doing today?
We're doing great right now. We're in the sunshine.
I know you're in
So it's
Florida.
beautiful out. It's great. We've been running around with the kids and we decided to get away from haunted locations for a minute because that's
Yeah.
all we do is we're in dark, gloomy, decrepit locations with all this back history of just um
There's only so much time you could spend in the darkness, and you guys spend
yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
time in the darkness. So let's get started. I want to start with you, Tessa. Like I mentioned before we went live, I didn't know you two were married till I interviewed Nick last year, and he was just speaking, and he's like, "Tessa, my wife." I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, Tessa's your wife?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I did not know that," but I think that's awesome that you two work together now. My question is, was Death Walker the first time that you two worked together for a TV audience?
No, I don't think
Was it
so.
for
No,
a TV
it was
audience?
actually on her podcast show. I came
Okay.
on her podcast show and she didn't even really know not anything about me.
Yeah, so like I've never watched any of his shows. I didn't really know anything about him. He came onto my podcast and we just kind of started talking. I had to ask a mutual friend about his background. I was like, what do I talk to this guy about? I don't know anything about him. So we talked there and then but for TV purposes, I think yeah, Deathwalker
Death Walker. Yeah.
was it. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So that's when the TV viewing audience really got to see you up close for the first time. If you don't mind me asking, how long ago was that podcast when you guys first met?
over 3 years, I think.
Yeah,
Three
I
years.
think over 3 years. Yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
while.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Now, Tessa, you are a medium. Nick, how does it impact the investigation to have a medium with you each and every time? What does Tessa add to the investigation that you didn't have when you were doing solo or group investigations?
So much more insight. There's a lot of insight that's being missed because you can only go so far back in information and factual back check with research. So she's actually highlighting and visually in her brain, she's seeing stuff and communicating with spirit activity based on what she picks up on and her abilities. And then we're able to take that collectively and go research it even further that we didn't know with historians and other people and local people and find documentations based on what has been picked up on. And that's the great part about doing this together is
Yeah.
it's all the time. It's all the time. It's not just on Deathwalker, it's at our household. It's here right now. We're always talking about spirits or communication or just the world we live in and just being alive and stuff like that. She's like the real life Wednesday Adams.
I think we did a reading for somebody at the airport. We ran into somebody and I ended up just spontaneously reading them because their mother had stepped through. So like he said, it's all the time.
And you do that on Groff Adventures. At the end of the
Yeah,
Banshee, you guys were just sitting eating dinner, and you were prompted to go speak to these two women sitting at the
she was.
bar. Uh,
Yeah, she was. She'll do that all the time. When it's really strong, you say it comes through, and
Yeah.
then you just want to go and you have to deliver that message if they want it.
Yeah, and I feel like as a medium, you walk around kind of like a lighthouse in the dark for spirit. So if you're near somebody and somebody recently passed, or there's somebody on the other side who wants to come through, they know that I can see them and they won't leave me alone until I deliver that message sometimes.
Now, Tessa, having this for your entire lifetime, have you noticed, does anything trigger these messages, these visions that you see with your mind's eye, or do they just completely come randomly to you?
I see it as kind of like a volume control. So there's times where I can kind of tune it down. If we're trying to go to sleep or if we're just trying to go about our day, most of the time I'll tune it down, but you can never necessarily turn it off. So I think for the most part, it just kind of comes to me constantly because I'm never off. Um, and so if we could be out at a restaurant, we could be out at a store, we could be walking down the street, and I might be picking up on a house that I passed or something that happened on that street or somebody within a location. So it's just constant, honestly.
Now, all the shows that I have seen where a child discovers they have special gifts and they're talking to a medium who's experienced, you see the medium tell them you got to learn when to your boundaries. You got to set your boundaries. Do you do that? And did you do that from a young age? Did someone help you set those boundaries as to when spirits can interact with you?
Back when I was a kid, it was not, the paranormal wasn't talked about. Mediumship back then was kind of taboo.
Oh,
I
yeah.
grew up in an Italian Catholic family.
Hmm.
So, most of the time they didn't want to talk about it, even though my grandmother had the ability and she would constantly talk about, spirits within the house or these messages that she would get. But then she would deny that that's what it was, that's what
Yeah.
it was. My mother also has the ability, but we didn't talk about it until I think I was I was probably a little bit, probably around my son's age, so probably about like 9 years old. And the reason that we really started talking about it was because my father's best friend died suddenly at like 4 a.m. in the middle of the night. And when I woke up not knowing anything, I gave my dad a message that there was no way I could have known anything. And I
Wow.
think it was that point where they started realizing maybe we should take this seriously. I had no boundaries, though. There was nothing that I knew back then. I had nobody to really talk to. And so I had to learn that on my own. I had to, I was obsessed with the Wizard of Oz. This is going to sound really stupid, but I was a dancer, I was a performer, and I loved the Wizard of Oz. And I would put myself in this bubble as a kid and pretend, like Glinda with that
Hmm.
big pink bubble. And I would put myself in that at night and envision myself and say, nobody could come in to this bubble and I'm safe and nobody could talk to me at night. And it
That's
was weird because then it started working and I started being able to control it more. And I
wow.
came up with my own methods. And so I try to help kids now to understand that because I wish I would have had
Yeah.
somebody to teach me that as a kid.
For me. The Wizard of Oz scared the crap out of me. Those flying
Yeah.
monkeys, those flying
Yeah.
monkeys terrified me at a young
Yes.
Yeah.
age.
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
Nick, now that you're basically your own boss, and you don't have to
Yeah.
answer to producers and executive, what kind of freedom does that give you for your investigations that you not did not necessarily have before?
Yeah, I think it's way better and more productive. I feel there's not so many notes on narratives and how to change the narrative or to up it for producing factor for fear, to scare an audience.
Yeah.
Like when I used to do commercial TV broadcasts for cable, it would be we need better bump outs. Bump outs were right before commercial need to be something crazy
Hmm.
happens and oh my gosh, you don't want to miss what's coming. So now it's just I go through the edit, we look at the best credible evidence, and it's the rawest investigation. It's straightforward, and what you see is what you get, and it's right through it all the way with Deathwalker. So I just submit it as is, and that's what it is. We own Deathwalker 100%, and we're just licensing it around the world to different networks and stuff that are picking up, and it's doing incredibly well.
Yeah.
We did 40 episodes, and we are in the process right now shooting season 4, which is 20 more episodes.
And
So,
for people that don't know, Deathwalker is available on Film Rise, which can be seen on many different outlets, including YouTube
yep, and
and Tubi.
and Roku, YouTube in America.
Hmm.
It's in the United Kingdom right now on Discovery Plus, and they're airing it on the Really channel too in the United Kingdom. And we're looking at different outlets like Canada's coming. We're looking at Italy, Germany, Spain. We're going all over the place. It just takes time to push it into different networks and different territories throughout the world. But it's a totally different process. You don't have a network supporting the project, so it's
Exactly.
not a continuous production budget where they own it and they can do whatever they want with it. And you
Hmm.
keep cranking out episodes. But with us, we're personally financed and we're going out, we're doing them, and then we're selling it around the world to different networks, like I said. And we've been lucky enough to do it and keep. It's a tight budget. It's tight. We get the nitty gritty done, but I think collectively the quality and what we're doing, the narrative is factual and to the point, and that's what a real investigation is. If
Exactly.
anyone's looking into the paranormal, that's how it really should be. And I think times are changing too. I think people are sick of like the oversaturated paranormal content, which is basically the hype value for it, and they're missing the credibility.
Yeah.
So I think that's what the big picture is in the long run. Is for us, we want to maintain the credibility because that's worth more to me than just running around for 5 minutes of fame or being on
Hmm.
TV or something like that. I'm just kind of, I don't know. I've been in this business for a long time. It's highs and lows in the industry. But I think ultimately I've always maintained my credibility and
Yes.
the respect value. And I really want that name to be remembered because one day I'll be gone.
Hmm.
And we have 5 kids, and I want our kids to live up to that expectation of who we stand for and what we're doing and presenting our projects and so on. And I want that to be credible, so our name can live on and we can kind of create these conversations with the paranormal because really that's what it's all about. No one
Yeah.
has the right um, definition of what happens when you die or what's next, but we all have ideas, thoughts, backgrounds, religions, whatever your beliefs are. We have abilities, insights, but truly, I think multiple things happen when you die, from my
Hmm.
personal
Yeah.
opinion. But at the end of the day, we want that respect to maintain through our name and what we're doing for our children and so on, and the other people that are watching, so we can keep building this and learning and growing and evolving as human beings.
And what gets me is that today there are so many paranormal investigative teams, and they've been largely influenced by what they've seen on television. And they really, from hearing stories, they're doing stuff they're not supposed to do and pushing the limits and provoking because they just are looking for likes and views, whether it's on YouTube or trying to get picked up by a network or whatnot. And they're pushing the boundaries. To give a perfect example, your latest episode on Groff Adventures, Banshee, you guys picked up on some very positive energy there, Tessa,
Mhm.
and you were able to relay that to the owner. It doesn't always have to be dark, sinister to get an audience engaged. How do you feel about that, Tessa?
Yeah, I mean, from a medium's perspective, I guess because I interact with spirit every day, it's very easy to determine what is positive and what is negative. They're two totally different things. And from the time that I was a kid to now, I've honestly only come into contact with something that I could positively say is not a positive spirit. It is more negative. Using the word possibly demonic, however you want to label that, it's less than a handful of times that I've ever come across that. And so I think that the reality of the paranormal is that not everything is negative. It's good entertainment for
Mm-hmm.
TV, and it's scary, and you have that. But the reality is that when you're walking down the street, or you're in a store, or you're whatever, there's people's loved ones that are around them, and there are positive messages to come through. I deal with criminal cases and stuff all the time, missing persons, homicides. And so the paranormal extends to that. It's
Yeah.
those spirits coming through to bring closure about a case. And I just think that it's more than what people make it out to be on these shows. It's not dark and negative all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think more like in the demonic nature is what we're
Yeah.
referring to because you got to look at stuff as history. There's so much history in this world that's layered upon layered. You have battles, you have the Civil War, Revolutionary War, and so on, and we can go up the laundry list of history. Then you have locations specifically that holds energies that's absorbed over time. Maybe a fire took place and people perished. There's tragic events. And sometimes those tragedies are still lingering.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean it's negative and demonic and everything's crazy and the world's going to end. But what it means is that maybe these people that perish, maybe the energy or the conscious thoughts or those people are still going through that tragedy, not knowing. And that's what we're picking up on. I think we're jumping to conclusions so quick because we want that dark nature, hard hitting, like boom, clickbait,
People want
on
to see
YouTube
what
or
they
whatever.
see in horror movies, what they see on these
Yeah,
ghost
and
hunting
it's fun.
shows that are net. I mean, because they want to experience that and they want to see the dark stuff. Even though I have no doubt if they actually experience it, they're going to go running 100 miles per hour the opposite direction.
Yeah.
Now, Tessa, I have interviewed several mediums, and each medium has their own style and personality. What would you say yours is your own thing that is not a technique widely used, but is something that you developed since your youth?
I think I realized a long time ago that I was able to provide what I like to refer to as evidential information. And so from a very young age, I was doing, criminal cases without really knowing what I was doing in a sense, like providing information to people. I would randomly give messages, and it's those things that there's no way that somebody should be able to know that unless you were in that person's shoes.
Yeah.
So the evidential information coming from a medium's perspective, I think is very important. And it was something that I've been able to maintain throughout my life. I didn't even have to develop it that much. And I think that there's a misconception sometimes where people say like, I developed this, or I was able to do this somehow. But I think that every medium or person with that ability has their own avenue that they go into. Like, I love doing live shows. I love doing gallery shows and stuff like that, but that's not everybody's avenue.
Yeah.
I love doing criminal investigations. That's not everybody's avenue. And so I just think, like you said, everybody kind of has their own style. Mine is very clearly evidential information in whatever way that might mean for the person.
And I could see the pleasure in your face that when you pass on a message and help somebody, you know, you enjoy that. You know, you really connect with somebody who's living through the dead. And I know that sounds very odd, but you're doing something very, very good. And I want to say thank you for doing that, because a lot of people, random people that you just walk up to and just share a message from a recently deceased loved one, it really does make a difference for them, I would think. So, all right, I want to spend the rest of the time that we have talking about the elephant in the room. Nick, you released a video several weeks ago, sort of airing out something that's been being talked about for a while now, but you laid out what has happened in the past with your ventures with previous shows and networks. My first question to you is, what prompted you at this stage to make that 7-minute long video?
Yeah, I think I was just at a point where so much stuff kept being resurfaced and trying to stop my productions in life. And what I mean is in a business. So when I keep my head up and I keep going, which I was told to do multiple times, twice throughout my life in 2 different projects, from Ghost Ventures to Paranormal Lockdown and so on, I did that. I said, all right, I'm going to be the bigger person, move on, and I'm not going to continuously feed into negativity, and I'm going to keep making something better. I know what I can do and what I'm capable of, but I'm going to drive forward, because sometimes sometimes stuff just needs to be let go, you know, and don't hold grudges, don't move on. Like, people can have differences of opinions. People don't have to agree. You know, people change. That's how it goes. Life is life, right? But sometimes when you continuously narcissistically try to stop somebody, and for whatever the reason is, for no reason, and try to hurt their reputation, their business, or to succeed in life, and try to stop financially their family from progressing in life, that's an issue. That's a problem to me. This was brought to my attention very recently by Dakota. He called me and he told me some stuff, and Dakota shared stories with me, and I said, enough's enough. So then I basically said, I told Tessa, I gotta put this video out. I should have did it years ago, but it just wasn't worth it. I said, you know what, I can keep going on. And I had the opportunity to go on and do that. And I had several network people say, oh, don't say anything, keep going. All the network people knew. And it's one of those things, when you work in the industry and you're doing something, everybody wants to keep riding that surfboard on that great wave that you're surfing, right?
Yeah.
But when that wave crashes down, everyone wants to hurry up and exploit people and say the truth. But I'm the type of person who has always been like, this is what it is. You either like it or you don't. This is who I am, and I'm just a straight shooter. I'm a New England kid. I don't care about the glam and the light and all that. I love what I'm doing. I'm passionate, but I'm truthful with what I do. So, when you start creating stories and false narratives and stuff like that about me to try to hurt me, then you can
especially when it reaches to your family,
we can settle it or we can move on. But unfortunately, it's methodical and it's behind the closed doors, and that's what it's been. So I just decided to put this video out and just leave it out there for everyone, so it's from my mouth, so everyone can hear it and we can move on from it. But that's pretty much the gist of it. I mean, there's really nothing else to talk about. I summed it up pretty quickly, because I know with those videos, you just gotta be quick. I mean, it's not emotional, it's facts, it's to the point, and that's really what it should be.
And I want the people to know that me and Nick did not go over any of the next questions I'm gonna ask, so don't think this is scripted in any way. My next question is this talking going on in the background. As far as you know, is it still happening to this day?
I haven't heard.
As far as what?
Talking going around in the background, like people still trying to stop me.
It is. It's happening, and it even affects me too. Like, once people found out that him and I were even back when we were engaged, you know, I'll even be public about this. I was, prior to me meeting Nick, there was a lot of production companies who approached me to come on shows as the medium. I was very picky, and so I never really went with any of that. I was actually approached to be on the new Ghost Adventures, and this was years ago. They wanted me as the medium on what they called it, the new Ghost Adventures. And so I didn't, knowing Nick at the time, and we weren't very public about our relationship at the time, I said, no, I'm not interested in that at all. But if you guys would like to work together as creating a show with my ability and stuff like that, I would love to do that. But I'm not interested in being on the new Ghost Adventures.
Wow.
The company loved me. They wanted to work with me. We worked for probably about 3 months on multiple different shows to pitch. We pretty much got a green light. Finally, Nick proposed to me, and I was excited about it. And so I told the guy who I had been in contact with for 3 months how excited I was. And the following day I got a phone call and everything was shut down.
Wow.
This person that I was speaking to is part of the network who's directly associated with Zach. And so, you know, that's where that ended. And so now I'm not upset about that. I know that those things, that was not the avenue I wanted to take regardless. But from that point, and this is only 3 years ago, right? And so then here's Deathwalker and him trying to get it put on there. And up until the point of the video, there are things that were being done to stop me, to stop him, to stop us. And now it's affecting our family. It's affecting our careers. And for what?
Yeah.
You know, like what is the point of this?
For me, I see it like
I was told too, I can never come to that network as long as he's there. That was told from an executive at the network.
Yeah. Now, for me, that's just bullying. It's the same as school bullying. It's no different. It carries over into adulthood, into people's career, and when you start affecting people's family, no, families, kids are off limits to anything that happens professionally. Now, you mentioned Dakota Layden from Destination Fear. The Destination Fear team has been on our show twice. Yeah. And you know, with your video and Destination Fear getting canceled recently, and when I heard that it got canceled, I sent, I believe, Chelsea a message. I congratulated them on going out and doing what you guys are doing now. You know, not waiting around for a phone call and not waiting for an opportunity, but creating your own opportunities. And I think they came up with a great idea. And I just wanted to share my support with her and say congratulations. Now, when Dakota was still on Ghost Adventures, Zach would be very protective of him. When we started seeing Dakota come in front of the camera, he spent many years behind the camera, and then before he left to do Destination Fear, we started seeing Dakota more in front of the camera in Ghost Adventures, to the point where I thought they were slowly going to transition him into the Ghost Adventures team. That's not what ultimately happened. Now, as far as you know, and I only want you to speak on stuff that you know, was Destination Fear, because this is not my question, this is the question that's been going around the internet everywhere. Was Zach responsible for Destination Fear getting canceled, as far as you know? If you don't then... I mean,
I'm not a part of that production at all, and I was not a part of that. So I can't speak from personal, like, this is what happened, but that's for Dakota to answer. I mean, Dakota said he was going to put out a video. I would imagine he'll put out a video in the future talking all about that stuff. I think he mentioned in his video. I mean, I talked to him in lengths. He told me the real reason of everything. I know everything about everything. I've talked to multiple people who know everything about everything. So, but it's not my place. That's for him to answer. That was his project. That was his doing. I had nothing to do with that. All I'm talking about is from him communicating with me what has been said to him while he was working with them, and what they were doing and what they were saying with me and slandering me and bad-mouthing me and trying to stop me and all that stuff. Gotcha. So I know that because that came from Dakota and multiple other people, and a person from the network too told me that. So it all cooperates the story instead of hearsay. It's facts from multiple people continuing the story that has been years. No. And you got to let go. I mean, like,
I think the other thing to acknowledge, though, too, is that these people that are,
I'm going to grab the baby.
Check the baby.
Yeah.
um, people behind the scenes, these hosts from other shows, clearly do have connections, and that's been made very clear to both of us. I've heard, these executives and stuff from the networks openly say that they are kind of controlled by him, and that there is under the table deals going on and stuff like that. So although we can't necessarily say if Destination Fear was canceled and it was Zach's fault, what we do know is that Zach has done those things, or has that ability to do so if he wanted to, and that's 100% true.
Yeah, and no person should have that power, and for that you got to place it on the people who let him have that power. Now, for you it must be very painful to see your family getting drugged through all this. You know, do you think now things are going to shift for you and your family, where you guys are able to move forward with your own stuff and not have to worry about things that happened so long ago?
I think that if you look at just Nick's career separate from me, from Ghost Adventures to Paranormal Lockdown and then to now Deathwalker, he's done an amazing, he's very talented in what he does. So like the difference between somebody like Nick, and this is not by any means to knock down anybody else in the paranormal field, I'm just specifically giving my opinion on Nick. He's very talented. He's not just the talent on a show. There's many people who are hired for a show as talent, whereas Nick went to school in lengths for film. He edits, he films, he creates, he does everything for the stuff that you're seeing on Deathwalker. And he did that consistently. He created, edited, produced Ghost Adventures. He did that for Paranormal Lockdown. He's now doing that for Deathwalker. And so he's shown a consistent pattern in being able to get knocked down and then take his abilities and his talents and what he knows and create something even better.
Yes.
So I'm very confident that regardless of putting out the video, I think that we would have still pursued and done better together. And both of us have that creative and very passionate background. And so I think that both of us together have really worked hard to bring this to the table in hopes. Here's our little dude.
Oh, so cute.
You want to come say hi?
What's the name?
Luciano.
He just
Luciano.
woke up.
Oh, so cute.
Yeah, say hi.
He was sleeping.
Hi.
He just woke up. You want to say hi?
But my point is that I hope that this video, if anything, brings awareness to what has been going on. And so hopefully, those things that have been happening to hurt Nick or hurt our careers or whatever could possibly settle down.
And a lot of people don't understand, because the entertainment industry really is a world in of itself on how things are done. My question to you, Nick, is during your first 10 seasons on Ghost Adventures, when did your relationship with Zach start to change? What I think I understood from your video is you found out you were pursuing other shows to produce, not necessarily leave Ghost Adventures. This is from your video, what I understood.
Yeah.
You meant you were just looking.
I produced one other one. Yeah. So he produced 4 shows that were paranormal shows prior to me producing one show. And it was a show that I pitched to the network. The network passed on it. In my contract, it first passed a refusal of what it was. The general manager wished me best luck from Travel Channel. I went on to pursue it, and another network picked it up, which was Discovery at the time, which was Destination America. They picked it up, and that was it. I didn't do anything wrong. It was per contract. He called me up. He got upset about it. He went to the network, told the network he wasn't happy. He said he wouldn't show up to the network if I showed up. Got all the guys to go against me. Said he'll basically fire them if they go against him, and basically said they don't all want to show up at the next location if I show up. So I was dragged along for 2 months, basically saying that I can't go to the locations. So It was really weird. It was bizarre because I created that show. I brought all those guys together. I edited it with blood, sweat, and tears, the documentary. Worked really hard for 10 seasons. I edited the first season. It's crazy.
I mean, you two guys were the top 2 guys on Ghost Adventures, and for the first 10 seasons.
Yeah, and look, I don't regret anything. I loved it. I put my blood, sweat, and tears in it. I truly did, and I really passionately believed in it. And I think that's what hurt more than anything, rather than just communicating we were supporting each other. I actually had talked to him 2 weeks prior to that phone call, and them doing a press release on a show called Ghost Stalkers back then with John Tenney and Chad Lindbergh, and I basically spoke to him about, you know, we should support each other. And because he had a new show, he come out, he was working on his documentary or something. I didn't know anything about it. I actually had no clue he was doing that documentary, and I didn't know anything about it until they randomly mentioned it in a car during a location we were filming on Ghost Adventures. So it is what it is. I mean, honestly, I supported everything he did. I was all about, like, look, let's all support each other. It's great things. We love what we're doing. There doesn't have to be somebody over somebody else. If that's what you want to do, you should do it. And this is what I'm going to do. But absolutely did not support it at all. He just methodically plotted to push me out. And I think, I believe, you know, it was more than that. I think it was a money play. I think it was all sorts of stuff. So it is what it is. And you know what? It was probably the best thing that ever happened to me, to be honest with you, because I was able to pursue and create Paranormal Lockdown. But I think when it happened to Paranormal Lockdown, that's when I was truly just like devastated. Yeah. Because that was like my heart and soul. Like I was literally like out there grinding in these locations, living there, like disintegrating my body, sleeping at them. And I put everything I had. The budget was cut in half. It was twice times less to make Paranormal Lockdown. I just don't get it. You know, I will never get it. But I let it go, because holding on to anger and holding on to that type of stuff in life, it's not healthy and it's not right. So I pushed forward and I said, all right, we're going to do it our way, and we're going to find personal people that will get behind the Deathwalker. And that's what we did. But I think when it happened to Deathwalker again, it took me a while to get it in America, because again, you know, same story. It's just, and I think the problem is you have two basketball players, like, you know, you got your Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, whatever you want to analogize it as. And it's like, it's an ego battle almost in a way. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird because I have no ego, though. That's the crazy part, is I just don't. I'm a team player. I love working with people. I love cross promoting. I love supporting people. I love seeing people like prevail in life. I like seeing people succeed. So it really has nothing to do with that. I just don't. I will never get it. But we've always butted heads from day one. We butted heads. Even before GA, we butted heads. So it's just, it is what it is. I think because I don't put up with BS. Yeah, no, I hear you. You can't control me. Yeah. And when you can't control somebody in that kind of mindset, I think it's. There are just some people out there that they feel the need. They need to be the top dog for some reason. They need to be the top dog. I let it go. I even reached out to him. Even when his father passed away, I even sent my condolences and I messaged him and stuff. But you know, I've tried reaching out, I've tried saying stuff, but I tried patching up the past, but it will never happen, unfortunately. It is what it is, but I have nothing to look back on. I'm pushing forward. I'm happy, married, beautiful family. I love what we're doing. I'm excited about life. I'm excited about what we're doing right now. And really it's about now, like never look back, always push forward and never give up. That's what I've learned, is never give up. Exactly. Because I could have easily gave up and said, you know what, forget it. You know, when you're stripped of everything that you built up and you're kind of on this like high horse, right? And you're stripped of that and you're kicked to the curb naked and you're like, good luck in life. And, you know, you're left to just like disintegrate. A lot of people would have given up. Exactly. They would have. How do you feel about the amount of support that you have gotten from people? Amazing. And it's been a lot. Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, like, I get goosebumps thinking about it. It makes me feel like I did the right thing in the support from just people. I don't even consider people fans. I just look at people as people, right? That support because of a reason or a belief or idea or something meaningful to them. Like at home, they're watching what we're doing or watching who we are, I guess, how we present it. But then when we cross paths and they really get to know us within that like 5 minutes of talking or whatever, I think it's the connection of us as human beings, what we're meant to do and what we're meant to put out there as content or whatever you want to call it, because one day we're all going to die. That's a fact. It doesn't matter what you believe, but it's what you leave behind as a human being is more impactful than what you're doing for 5 minutes of fame or all this other stuff. I think that's the bigger purpose for Tessa and I. And Tessa is a rock. She when I really got to know like who Tessa is and who she stands for and her abilities and how truthful and real and positive and how she's an incredible mom, it's like both of us together with those beliefs is just more powerful. And now I realize why I had to go through everything I did. It might have hurt and it might have been really rough and hard, like climbing Mount Everest at the time, but I realized the purpose of life right now.
Yeah.
This is where I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I wasn't on the right path. The path in the universe will kick you right in the butt and say, no, that's not the way you're supposed to be. You're going too far. So
absolutely. And I want to say, knowing how the industry works myself, when you left Ghost Adventures, when Paranormal Lockdown did stop at what seemed to be its height in popularity, I knew there was something rotten in Denmark going on behind the scenes. I didn't know. I mean, I guessed, and I was pretty much right, but you knew something was not right because I had I know how this industry works. Before we go, I know you're a big horror movie buff.
I am.
You know, I love that you're a horror movie buff. 3 great horror movies have come out in the last month: Nefarious, The Pope's Exorcist, and The Evil Dead Rise. Have you seen any of those 3?
I haven't, because my kids have been keeping me busy. Our baby Luciao, oh man, we haven't had time, but we've been watching a lot of docu-series. We love the criminal docu-series like on Netflix and stuff like that on Amazon Prime. So we try to sneak away, but I do want to see the new Evil Dead. I'm a huge Sam Raimi fan in Evil Dead. I love even the Russell Crowe, right? Plays
the Pope's Exorcist. Russell Crowe.
It looks cool. I like Russell Crowe. So I'm curious about that one. I will eventually watch them. I still try to when I can sneak it in, but I've been filming so much and doing so much. And with the baby, he just turned 1 within the years. The first year is always hard with a newborn. But I used to watch 2 movies a day because I love film. So I've seen almost every horror movie you can think of. But recently in the last year, it's been tough, obviously. But
I really would urge you to check out Nefarious, because I think out of the 3 that I mentioned, and all 3 are great, Nefarious is this big sleeper hit that I think by the end of this year, it's going to at least be in the top 5 horror movies of 2023. It stars Sean Patrick Flanery, and he gives a great performance. And it's not highlighted by this big studio budget money and special effects and fake blood. It's all dialogue. But while Evil Dead, I'm talking with Evil Dead Rise, you get an elevator full of blood. And I'm not kidding about that. Awesome. Yeah, there's blood all over the place. Even The Pope's Exorcist by Sony Pictures. Great special effects, great movies. But if you love story-based horror about a demon, because this is a person on death row who is facing the execution chair in a few hours, and a psychiatrist has to come in to evaluate him. And the movie starts right away. The demon, who is named Nefarious, tells him, "I'm a demon." So this whole movie is them going back and forth. There's no glamorous special effects or anything like that. It's just dialogue, and it's story-based horror. So definitely check that out. Tessa, before we go, do you share Nick's passion for horror movies?
I do. We actually love some of the same horror movies. Although he's seen a lot more than me. He's seen so much more than me. So he's always showing me new movies that I haven't seen and stuff, but we do watch them.
That's awesome. Guys, I want to thank you so much. That baby is beautiful. Congratulations. You guys have a beautiful family.
Thank you so much.
Keep walking. Just keep your eyes forward. And I want to tell everybody out there who's watching this now or who's going to watch this eventually, stop putting out YouTube videos with your hypothesis on why stuff has happened. You just got it from the horse's mouth. I mean, come on. Just let's quash that and move forward. I want to thank Nick and Tessa Groff. The YouTube channel, it's right there on the screen. At Groff Adventures is how you can find them on YouTube. Deathwalker through FilmRise is available on YouTube, Roku, in multiple countries. It's available everywhere. Check out those 2 shows. I look forward Is there a schedule that you have with Groff Adventures as to how far apart new episodes are going to come out?
Yeah, we have one right now that's going to be coming out very soon. We're just going through the editing process, but we would love to be putting out 2 to 4 episodes a month.
Mm-hmm.
But it's been a little tricky with
Yeah.
this one. But we will be putting out more as we progress, and I would love to put one out every week, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, you're your own boss. Your own boss. Do it at your own time. You know.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just
We want
have
it to
fun.
be right.
Yeah.
But we have a lot of unique locations we're going to be investigating coming up. And again, we're filming 20 episodes, and we do everything ourselves. So we have a lot to film coming up. Actually, right when we get back, we're filming 10 more episodes. So all of May, we're going to be filming into June.
And then you also have Deathwalker too, or is that for
Yeah,
Deathwalker?
Deathwalker. Yeah, both. We're doing both right now. Back to back.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy that beautiful baby. I want to thank our audience who tuned in. On behalf of Nick, Tessa, and Luciano Groff, and myself, stay safe and stay walking. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.